Time now for my favorite part of the show, Money, Power, Politics. With the partial government shutdown nearing the end of its fourth week, it is looking less like a blip on the political radar and more like a potentially serious economic crisis. According to S&P, the economy has already lost nearly $5 billion in lost productivity and decreasing demand for contractors. And even if those 800,000 workers eventually get paid, analysts are warning the damage has been done. Politico's chief economic correspondent, Ben White, wrote about all of this. He joins me now. Ben, it is not just about those workers getting back pay. Every day we talk to restaurant owners, newspaper vendors who are saying, my business is down 80%. Yeah. Talk to me about the broader long-term impacts. I mean, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, has us pretty scared.
Yeah, well, he talked about the fact that first quarter growth could wind up being close to zero in part because of this. And it's not just the 800,000 workers not getting paid. It's all of the government contractors whose business isn't getting done. And it's all, as you mentioned, the community surrounding those contractors who don't have business, the restaurants, the newspaper vendors, everybody else. That goes on down the line. The bigger picture is not just the shutdown. It is the fundamental view setting in to consumers and businesses that the American government simply doesn't work. They can't find any agreement on this over some ridiculous border wall situation. Then you have the March 1 deadline to get a deal with China on trade. Then you have the debt limit coming up in the summer. If people start to think that this government is broken, cannot serve the American people in any significant way, that impacts consumer confidence, that impacts business confidence. The economy was already softening heading into this shutdown. The cumulative effect of all this is, could we get tipped into recession later this year? Yes, we could, partly because Washington is so fundamentally dysfunctional.
Okay, so even though we say there's 800,000 people and a lot of others affected, there are still many Americans who are saying, well, what does it have to do with me? I still have a job. So what if economic growth dips below 2%? I'm still getting paid. Why should those people care?
Well, they should care because if the confidence erodes in this way, businesses are not going to want to hire more people. They're not going to want to give raises. They're not going to be that confident in making new investments in the future. So right now, you might look at this and say, this isn't affecting me other than maybe I'm waiting in line a little bit longer at the airport. But economic growth, if it grinds to a halt and even goes into reverse as a recession indicates, that means businesses start firing people. We lose jobs in recessions. That's what recessions are. They are contraction in economic growth. So you may not be concerned about this government shutdown right now. You will be concerned if we go into recession and markets start to slide. That will impact everybody.
Okay, let's not be alarmists and let's not be naive.
Sure.
I see lawmakers kind of acting like all we have to do is make sure these furloughed workers get back pay and then everything will be back to normal.
Yeah, that's not entirely true. I mean, it is true that if this shutdown were to end tomorrow or even before the next round of federal paychecks gets missed next week, back pay gets back into the economy. It limits the damage from the shutdown. That is absolutely possible that this could wind up being a small bore event. But a lot of the stuff, if you're a federal worker who didn't get paid and you took out a payday loan or you put a bunch of money on your credit card to pay for expenses, that damage continues past the shutdown even after you get paid. You still have to pay that money back. You still have a higher interest. Maybe your credit rating went down. That stuff stays in the economy. If you're a government contractor who didn't get your business done and you can't get new business, you go out of business, that doesn't come back. So there is damage no matter what happens with back pay. But it is possible that we get the shutdown over with and things are not that bad. But the bigger question is this just the first stage in a series of really crappy government issues for the rest of the year with China trade, with the debt limit? Is it the first stage in fundamental dysfunctional government in 2019?
You are so smart.
Oh, thanks.
I love it when you come visit.
I appreciate it.
I mean, I don't love it so much that I'll be starting a Women for Ben Twitter handle, calling him a pit bull and a sex symbol. But I will say,
that, Stephanie, really,
you need to listen to this guy's Politico podcast, Money. It's really, really good.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.